Larry Hoover's life sentence has been commuted by President Donald Trump. This update dives into the key reasons behind Trump's decision, including political motivations, Hoover's controversial past, and the implications of his release. Check this out.
That's real. You still got people that don't know what the real mission was and what my father believed in, and they still expressing a negative identity. Like, this is my life and my legacy. You know what I mean? My father's legacy was supposed to be more of like Mayor Daley. Mayor Daley was the mayor of Chicago, and their family came from the streets. He seen that he wanted to follow that blueprint, and he was on the path to following that blueprint. But that was like too much power. He was supposed to be more Malcolm X, just coming from the streets to seeing what it is to bring his people together so we can try to get a stake in our community. But they, kind of stopped his legacy from moving forward. They, gave him the last case that he had, which was a drug conspiracy case. And a lot of people get a second chance after a drug conspiracy case. They don't want to give him a second chance to move forward in life. We constantly go keep fighting, but we would talk about the tabloids, but they put a bad narrative out. And there's people like you to give an opportunity to put the right narrative and know that he wanted people to change their lives.
Wow, guys! Just a little clip there, man. In case you didn't know, Donald Trump has pardoned Larry Hoover, and that was me and Larry Hoover Jr. talking, and just thinking about him not ever being out with his father in over 50 some odd years. It's just a thing that always touched me dear when I got a chance to get on these microphones and travel and see the people that mean so much to me. Like OG Pyru is on this thing too. Wait a minute, OG, what's up, baby, man? I was about to duck in, man. I was just start thinking and I'm celebrating in one sense, but I know it's still an uphill battle. But man, I'm happy to hear that Donald Trump has pardoned him on the level of he don't have to be in the confinements. I believe he's in Colorado no more, right?
He's in the AVX in Colorado, yeah. Yeah,
that right there, that part of now it'll be something where he's still dealing with the state level for sure, but. Just a dope thing to been with his son and fighting this battle, and ever since I started this show, and meeting people like yourself and Melvin and all of the Crusaders for me, like Fred Hampton Jr. and all just seeing this was something that we've been pushing for. What did you think when you heard that Trump had pardoned him?
Man, Donald, that's the kind. One thing people, especially Negroes, fail to understand about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a businessman. He is called a WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. He understands the significance and the value of Black America, and Black America don't understand it itself. So anybody that's striving to do things in a positive way, whatever reform is, Donald is with it. Donald did so much for the hip-hop industry that people never even understand, just wanting to be around Negroes. But I'm glad that he did, commute the sentence for Larry Hoover. And anytime you have this man, John Hinckley, that shot Ronald Reagan in 1981, he's free and on the street for shooting the president. So you can forgive white America, but anytime a Black does something, you hold it against us forever.
Wow. And, just this guy, man, when you think about Larry, these guys, you being a guy that's older, you remember Larry and all that, but a lot of these younger guys don't even remember Larry. But a lot of time, Larry Hoover, when you think about him, a lot of the dreads and just a lot of the stuff that they try to equate to Larry Hoover, man. But when you see him and you hear him, like on this little clip here, I'm gonna play from when he was talking to Jay Prince. This was a long time ago, but just his mindset was different even in the early 90s and the 80s. Hold on, let me see.
Yes, niggas in the street got to get together all over the nation. I'm talking, we got to get together in Chicago, we got to get together in LA, in Houston, we got to get together in New York, we got to get together in Detroit. We just got to get together all over this nation. I'm talking about not the regular people in the street. I'm talking about street. I'm talking about niggas that call themselves gangsters. Real gangsters go to the polls.
Wow. See, he was talking about pulling people together and trying to do something with the people way back then. You know what I mean? And I think
you gotta understand, Larry Hoover come from the 60s. He comes from the Black Revolution. He comes up after the integration and the nonviolent movement. And the thing that Chicago and the East Coast had, or Chicago's the Midwest, where they technicality, but he came up under, those gangs came up under organized crime. They saw it being facilitated and saw it being successful. And they came up under the Italian moniker of one for all and all for one. Where on this West Coast, we were so disconnected, and a lot of the South, they didn't have the overall gangster mentality of unity. And so Larry went in from street gangs to bringing stuff together. Him and Jeff Ford, the El Rukins, they start coming into the climate of understanding spirit, understanding economics, and they became a threat to white America. Here's a man been down over almost 60 years, and they got him separated from his people, and he has no institution. He doesn't have any murders or anything in prison. So, but he's a threat to them because of his mentality.
Wow. And it's just, when you see all of the time that people have campaigned from Jay Prince, Kanye, all of these guys done tried, you know, time after time, you know, to speak up, to try to do something to get him released. And then you have certain people who speak up in the wrong way, and still, after all these years, I mean, from the 70s, man, to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and you still speaking in a way to where you trying to figure out a way to, because you got to understand, talking to his son, you know, they didn't even have the charges. They didn't know what to charge him with. It was real gray area the way it was explained to me. It wasn't nothing outright.
A phone call from jail, you give a man a life sentence from a phone, and let's attack where it needs to be attacked. These black politicians, they get up and hoop and holler, but they won't make a bill or stand up for Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford. They'll do all of this other political assassination, but they will not stand up. And here you got a white president that commuted sentences, and you haven't had one senator, one congressperson out of Chicago, from Obama to anybody else, to want to free Larry Hoover.
Wow, that's heavy. You said that, and it's what you're saying. It speaks volumes, you know. And I just think that's crazy, man, to me. That even,
because we don't make our politicians accountable. If they was accountable for everything they said about these neighborhoods, if they found their babies hung up on a lamppost somewhere, they wouldn't be as easy to indict Black America. Blacks indicting Black America.
Wow.
You know?
Let me listen at this. This is Kanye with Trump talking to him about, you know, just what Trump means to the community. I mean, what Larry Hoover means to the community.
Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown from American. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system that applies to what people are really going through, which Jim Brown has created.
Wow. And I love that, man. I just like the fact of, you know, speaking in a way to where it lets you know that, and these are people, like I said, again, we younger, right? I'm older than Kanye, I'm pretty sure, but he's younger than me. And the stories, you just hear the stories, right? But people like yourself, OG, that really, you know, was around when all this stuff really was happening, and being able to see certain things or read about certain things, you know, it hit different with you. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's why I respect you so much when it comes down to what you say about certain things and timelines, because you were actually experiencing some of these same things. Heck, when Larry was probably first getting locked up, you was getting locked up.
We was in San Quentin fighting for our freedom that never came. You know, believing in a revolution that found out it's no revolution in America. It's resistance, but you got to move on. They'll assassinate, and what makes it so crazy that in the assassination of your character and your organization, they don't do it. They send somebody that look like you to do it.
Wow. That's so true, man. And like I said, you know, just the fact of Trump, even to just make this step, he's made a bigger step, like you said, than even Obama when he was in office, because they wouldn't touch that. They never even looked at that. And you've seen certain people was pardoned, but they sidestepped that. And
you know, they'll do somebody that's no account, that's not going to move a line, but you'll talk about, well, let's view reparations. Well, who's going to get reparations? They'll never come in our time, but it's a pacifying blacks that, oh, we're moving on up. We're farther behind in 2025 than we were in 1955. Blacks had more understanding and more elevation in moving forward as a black race in 1955 than we are in 2025. We done went all the way back to being niggas.
Back to being niggas. Wow. And when you think about it, man, it's crazy. You know, you sit back, but what I love today was seeing Larry Hoover's wife, seeing Jay Prince, talking to Larry Hoover Jr. I spoke with Larry Hoover Jr. about it. Just the fact that this happened. Look at how long they've been dealing with this. He's been dealing with this his whole life. He never touched it. He touched his dad early on, hugged him and stuff. But for the last, I believe it was 30 years, man, he hadn't even touched him. You know, basically you have to talk to him through a mirror. I mean, through a window. And
we have to understand, Boss Talk, that this is just the beginning. The white man can only do so much. If we don't have black politicians, black people standing up, because now the state's going to take over. Every black gang in Chicago, California, Mississippi, Alabama need to be sending letters. All this getting on the internet saying a bunch of nothing. You need to be on that internet with the senators and the people in the state of Chicago to commute Larry Hoover's sentence. Because if we sit back on our hands and think that other people are going to do for us what we need to do for ourselves, we are up shit creek.
I agree 100%. We got to do better as a people. We got to come up with a situation and a solution where people will speak out on the internet, speak out if you have to go, and they always want to protest something. Show forth the fact of, hey man, free Larry Hoover, man.
Let's do a Larry Hoover challenge. Everybody do all these damn challenges.
Yeah.
Let's do a Larry Hoover challenge. Everybody write the state of Chicago, find out the penal system there, and flood them with letters and emails to free Larry Hoover.
Man, and I agree with that 100%. We gotta do it, man. I'm gonna play a little bit of Miss Jamaica, my wife, talking to Larry as well in this interview. I'm gonna play this part and let's see how it goes.
Okay, so your dad is still in maximum hold where you can't visit him or anything at all?
Well, I can visit. I just can't
touch.
It's through the glass.
You can't. Okay.
It's on his phone through the glass.
Do you think that they'll ever at least ease up on that, where you can be able to touch him and hug him and all of that again?
I think it's either some of the stuff that we're working on gets to the point where he gets out, they don't want him to see the world.
Because I prayed about it so many different times, because to me it's like every time when I think about it, I know you've been living this life, so certain things you're over, you know, but when anybody, I'm sure other people who watching it can, you know, feel it too, it's like, I just want to cry sometimes when I think about it, because I try to put myself in that situation when I see your mom, and I met your mom, and I see how sweet she is and how upbeat her personality is and how hard I know it probably is on the inside, you know, trying to put that on all the time and have fun, knowing that she really wanted to hug her husband. She wanted to be with her husband.
You know what? All his family, but definitely my mother.
Right.
You know, she's been... to go on this journey, she's...
Wow. They like saying his name, but, you know, that's the game, man. We got to step up. We got to speak out. If this here's like if a link in a chain broke, now we can get through this next part, but it's going to take everybody stepping up. Like OG said, writing letters, speaking out on the internet, go in and talk to somebody if you know somebody on the state level. Just showing that we really are standing in unity to see this happen, man. To see him come home, and like I said, the pardon is a big step for Trump to make. We got to see it through. What you think, OG?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's up to us. If it ain't us, it ain't nobody. We cannot keep dependent on white America to save you when you should be trying to save yourself. We look out for everybody else but each other.
Wow. It's just extraordinary to see, you know, like I said, dealing with Larry Hoover Jr. and just seeing him, you know, who haven't over 50 some odd years, high 50s now, hadn't been able to touch his dad, you know, been able to hang out with him. And people don't know how blessed they are. You know, even on the state level, the blessing in this, if they can transfer him and get him to where they can at least hug him and you know, let him hug his grandson that he never hugged, that's now same age as my son, 17. Me and his son the same age. He never touched him. He never shook his hand. That's the part right there that people, you don't understand.
That's right.
That's that we take these things for granted. I remember being locked up and I don't talk about it much, but I remember not going outside for a year and just wanted to stand in the rain. It's stuff that you want to do that you can't do it. To be alone sometime when you're in those confined situations, to not have to deal with a certain person. You're obligated to deal with these certain situations, and there's no way out of them. And that's the part right there that's crazy to me. But at the end of the day, you have to be strong. He have to be a strong man to be set in there and not lost hope. And all of these years, bro, because every time that I hear talk of him or that me and Larry talking about him, Junior, he's still standing strong. And I think that's noble, bro, for over 50 years.
Yes, sir. And not just 50 years in solitary confinement in ADXs. It's not 50 years of being out on the yard, having a trade. You're confined. Most of the time was 23 and a half hours a day. They was only letting him out for showers. In the last, I think, 15 years, when they became a gentler society in the penal system, that they started. And when they first got to the ADX, he couldn't even have, all his visits were over the the TV screen. They couldn't even have, he couldn't even have letters. He could touch them. The letters, when he come in, they would have them over a TV screen, and he had to read them from a TV screen. He couldn't even touch his own mail.
Wow, man, I'm just happy that he's home, or that he's going to be in state. He'll be in Chicago, right?
Just because he got the things commuted, don't mean they're gonna transfer him right now. He's 74 years old, and he has some illnesses, you know.
Correct,
so
of course.
He's not in prime shape right now, and it's just that, you know, I look at his release is like South Africa released Nelson Mandela. He was old, broke down. He couldn't carry out anything. So everybody thought it was going to be Christmas when Nelson Mandela got to South Africa, and it was just another form of slavery. They put him out there because now, looking at the man, you've been following a myth for 50 years. Now you see an old man. Now it's not real to black folks.
Wow, it's like I said, just wanted to stop everything I had going and stop and tell everybody it's still free Larry Hoover, and even and you know it's free Jeff Ford too. It's free them all. Like my boy Fred Hampton Jr. always say, you know, free them all.
Free them all.
You know.
But then I'm looking at for him being free in a non-selfish manner. I'm not looking for him to get free to save us, because we ain't saved ourselves. I hope he gets free. I pray that he gets free to get what the last years of his life is to spend with his family, not on some crusade for Negroes that don't want to save themselves.
Wow. Y'all heard that, man. Hey, man, get in the comments. Let us know what you think, man. Larry Hoover pardoned by Donald Trump. Let us know what you think, man. And also, y'all heard the challenge. The call was the fact of OG say, write your politicians, write your state officials, email them, call them. He's challenging you to step your game up, man. Do something that counts, man. Step your game up and try to figure out some way to make this thing a movement, man, that can move the needle, that can help move the needle in the right direction, man. That's what we're asking, man. Let's do it, man. Yes, and also, guys, if you're still watching, there's a video right here talking about the Diddy trial, what the latest and the greatest on it. Check that out as well, man. Boss Talk 101 reviews.